I to jest 50-50.
The next 100 days could decide the outcome of this war. It's 50-50.
Europe may have just handed Volodymyr Zelensky exactly what he has been asking for throughout the war with Russia. Is Vladimir Putin's biggest military nightmare now beginning to take shape as Europe backs Ukraine's long-range strike ambitions? Zelensky's long-standing push for more long-range missile capabilities may finally be turning into reality with fresh European funding. The European Union is set to provide Ukraine with €1.5 billion in 2026 to procure medium and long-range missiles for its armed forces. The funding will come through the European Union's Defense Loan Program, designed to strengthen Ukraine's military capabilities during the ongoing war. The new missiles are expected to support Ukraine's ability to carry out long-range strikes against Russian military infrastructure and strategic targets. The weapons are reportedly set to be produced through a joint venture between Ukraine and an unnamed European Union member state. Officials have not yet disclosed whether the missiles being developed will be cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, or a combination of both. Ukraine could receive as much as €40 billion from the European Union's €90 billion defense loan program by the end of 2026 if approved. Poland is now considering sending additional Patriot missile systems and interceptors to Ukraine, according to a report by the Kyiv Independent. The move comes after a suspected Russian missile reportedly entered Polish territory during a large-scale Russian attack on Ukraine on July 30th. Polish authorities scrambled F-16 fighter jets after an unidentified aerial object crossed into the country's airspace during the Russian missile barrage. Prime Minister Donald Tusk later said the object was most likely a Russian Kh-101 cruise missile that had inadvertently strayed into Polish territory. Tusk also said Warsaw would review the possibility of providing additional military support to Ukraine following the latest cross-border security incident.
I also spoke yesterday, as you know, coincidentally in Lublin with President Zelensky about what is happening in the air over Ukraine and what might happen in Poland. And we both declared a readiness for full cooperation in all possible coalitions, teaming over the safe skies above us and above Ukraine. I know that today it may not be very popular to speak well of Ukraine, but I know, and this knowledge is much more important, that the security of Poland depends directly and straightforwardly on the effective actions of the Ukrainian military, also in the air. If the Ukrainians had much more of what they are constantly asking for, perhaps that ballistic missile would not have flown into Poland. I have no reason to be an advocate for Ukraine in matters of patriots. What is on my mind and heart is how to best secure Poland. Ukraine is shooting at them. Ukraine is really eliminating Russian targets because it is at war with Russia, and it is in our interest to support them in these matters, keeping in mind what we obviously need in a way that enhances our security. So after this event, paradoxically, I will, together with the Prime Minister, consider how to provide further assistance as quickly as possible for Ukraine, also with additional Patriots if needed, because our intention is for Ukraine not to lose this war. After my conversation with Zelensky, the matter is quite evident. The next 100 days could decide the outcome of this war. It's 50-50. There are many mechanisms in the hands of the President of the United States and a few other people. Decisions, for example by Elon Musk regarding Starlinks and other systems, are of great significance. So, in a sense, it happens somewhat outside of politics as well.
Patriot air defense systems have remained one of Ukraine's most critical tools for protecting its skies against repeated Russian missile and drone attacks. However, interceptor missile stocks are reportedly shrinking as U.S. defense manufacturers struggle to keep pace with growing global demand. President Volodymyr Zelensky has repeatedly urged Ukraine's international partners to supply additional Patriot systems along with more interceptor missiles.
Will Ukraine receive more missiles? What was the conversation with Donald Trump?
We speak about Patriot missiles. Really, it's true. Now we spoke with senators about it. So that Ukraine really can produce everything, which can destroy everything from Iranian Shaheeds to Russian drones and etc. We have drone interceptors, modern systems of electronic warfare. Real problem is anti-ballistic systems and anti-ballistic missiles. And of course, I shared what we need, our needs. I shared it with the president today. I'm very thankful to him for this meeting. And now I shared with senators. So we will try to manage it. It's a big challenge.
These developments come as Russia claims its forces have captured 4 more settlements in Ukraine, according to the Russian state news agency TASS. Russia said its forces captured 4 settlements across eastern and northeastern Ukraine during the latest phase of frontline operations, according to TASS. Russia's defense ministry said on July 30th that the territorial gains were achieved during the previous 24 hours of military operations. Russia's Battle Group North claimed it established control over the settlement of Yurchenkovo in Ukraine's Kharkiv region. The same battle group also said it captured the settlements of Magritsa and Malaya Slobodka in the neighboring Sumy region. Russia's Battle Group Center separately announced it had taken control of Krasnoyarskoye in the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic. The announcement came as Russian forces continued offensive operations across multiple sectors of the front line in eastern Ukraine. Meanwhile, tensions within NATO escalated after reports claimed an alleged Russian missile landed inside Polish territory. Russia launched a massive overnight missile and drone barrage against targets across Ukraine in the early hours of July 30th. According to Ukrainian officials, Moscow fired 74 cruise, ballistic and hypersonic missiles during the large-scale overnight assault. Russia also launched 284 Shahid-type attack drones in one of the biggest coordinated aerial attacks of the war. Ukraine said its air defenses intercepted 55 missiles and destroyed 265 drones before they reached their intended targets. Powerful explosions rocked Kyiv, Lviv, and several other cities located hundreds of kilometers from the front line. Thousands of residents rushed into Kyiv's metro stations as air raid sirens sounded across the capital during the attacks. Ukrainian officials said at least 8 people, including children, were killed in the nationwide missile and drone strikes. More than 50 people were also reported injured across Kyiv, Lviv, Kryvyi Rih, and Poltava following the overnight bombardment. President Volodymyr Zelensky had warned just hours earlier that Russia was preparing a major overnight strike against Ukraine. Zelensky said strengthening protection against Russian missile attacks remained Ukraine's highest military priority. Volodymyr Zelensky said, and I quote, "I received a report from Air Force Commander Anatoly Krivonosko. The Russians prepared a massive attack several days ago, and there is a high probability that the strike will be carried out tonight. It is important that our partners fully understand what is happening, and that the protection of lives directly depends on their readiness, or lack thereof, to help us with air defense missiles. First and foremost, this concerns the United States and those partners that have Patriot missiles and can provide them to support our defense. Every partner knows what is needed and fully understands the consequences of marking time. Please, in all regions of Ukraine, pay attention to air raid alerts today and stay safe." Unquote. Ukraine's Air Force also said an F-16 fighter suffered an in-flight emergency while carrying out a combat mission during the attacks. The pilot ejected safely, while Ukrainian authorities said the cause of the in-flight incident remained under investigation. Amid Russia's large-scale assault, Poland said an unidentified projectile crashed inside its Lublin province near the Ukrainian border. Poland's military said the object landed roughly 95 kilometers from the border as Russian missiles flew across western Ukraine. Polish authorities scrambled fighter jets and placed air defense forces on alert as the Russian strike unfolded nearby. The attack came only days after Zelensky asked Donald Trump for a winter package of Patriot air defense missiles. Zelensky urged Washington to help protect Ukraine's critical energy infrastructure before the arrival of the winter season. Ukraine is seeking as many as 300 Patriot interceptor missiles to strengthen its air defense network before winter. Trump reportedly promised to try to assist Ukraine, but said U.S. interceptor stockpiles were already under growing pressure. Zelensky also held talks with Lockheed Martin and RTX on expanding joint missile production and defense cooperation.